We're number one.
Jimmy is being a cheap ass. You know, I'm like, damn.
You heard it here first. Joe Rogan listens to our podcast.
Right, we're the best. You know, they say people that cuss are morons. So I'm an honest motherfucker. Put the fish away, Reggie.
It don't even hurt to get through that.
Not for me.
Nothing to it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Come on. I'm ready. I'm ready. I want to do it.
I wear a thong. I got one on right now. You want to see?
Jimmy and Geek. Madhouse Bar Talks, baby.
That is a bunch of shit, if you ask me. That don't even make no sense.
That's my dad coming in there on the end of that one.
Oh yeah, a little mix.
Yeah. Well, I did an interview with my dad. My dad's a pretty interesting guy. He's a nut. He's an old hippie that acts a fool. So he lived down by you for a little while when he was being a hippie.
Yeah.
So you're Bron Theron, right?
Theron. Yep.
Yeah.
But you know, if it's a porno name, it would be the Ron. Bron.
The Ron would be Bron the Ron. Porn. You ever did porn?
You know, honestly, I've been an extra in a few porns.
No,
Yeah.
get out of here. Really?
Yeah, yeah. When I first moved to down here to Southern California, I had a really kind of a strange agent, and he got me on some Vivid movies and a couple other big porno company movies. Just acting, nothing, no penetration, but it was an adventure for sure.
I just expected no. I just expected no.
No, I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen it get done.
That's pretty wild. And you've been in California most of your life?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in California, Santa Cruz, California. But I moved to the Northwest for a while. I went to college in Seattle and Portland, and then I moved back down to Southern California. So that was a trip coming to Southern California is very different than Northern California. So
Southern California is? Why? What do you think that is?
well,
Is it dirty and grimy, or what is it?
I feel like there's a lot of competition of art and entertainment down where I live, you know, in the LA area. So everybody's kind of like, you know, a con man of sorts or a con woman of sorts. They want to manipulate and get things, and because they're on the come up, you know. Whereas Northern California is a little bit more eased back. You know, obviously a lot of weed smoking, chilling. I don't know. It's just a different vibe than Southern California than Northern California, in my opinion.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've never been. I never
Oh,
been.
you need to go.
My daughter was there. My daughter lived down there for a couple years when she first graduated high school. She went down there. She was went down with a boyfriend. You might even know him. I think his name's Lewis Snyder. He's an actor. He does some smaller stuff.
Huh.
But she went down there with him, and then she came back, and then she ended up going back down there with another kid that does audio. I think his name is Zach or something like that. I know he was working with what the hell is the one that did that? Why him? What's his name?
Why him?
Yeah, what the hell's his name? You know who it is. He's a big star.
Okay.
James something. I forget. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. He did the movie Why Him. I could probably look it up and tell you in 2 seconds.
James Marsden? James Franco?
Franco, I think is it.
Okay. James Franco. Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Is that right? Why him? Yeah, I think that's who it is. Yeah. James Franco, yeah. So he did audio with him. He was friends with him, and he did a couple little scenes even with him a little bit. And my daughter was down there with that guy. And, you know, quite frankly, I'll be honest, I was glad when she came home and found her a redneck that, you know.
Is that what? You're in Ohio, right?
Rednecks, man. We're from Ohio. I relate. Like, these guys would come down and they're Hollywood guy. I couldn't have conversations with them for the most part. You know, they're artsy, and that's just not my. I own a bar, I run a construction company, and I do the podcast out of fun. I love to talk to anybody and learn about them, but not when they're dating my daughter, you know?
Yeah, of course. How old is she?
Now she's 30. Yeah, she's 30 this year.
Okay.
I'm an old man. And evidently you are too. I was shocked when I seen Because when I first saw, like, you sent it over, I looked into it, I'm checking it out. And because the reason you were sending out is you have a movie that just come out
Right.
called
Yeah, I have a
Pancake
movie that
Man.
we're showing in theaters. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pancake Man.
Yep. So I kind of looked at it a little bit before I even contact you, and I thought, boy, it's a young kid doing movies and stuff. Wow, that's impressive. And the more I got into it, it's not a young kid. I go, man, this guy looks good for, what did you say? He was 46 or something like that? Or
Yeah, I actually just turned 47 this month, so
oh
or
wow.
last month, my mistake, last month. So yeah, I'm 47. I'm getting pretty old, but I feel like a kid.
Yeah, you look good. I'll tell you, for 47, you look great. I know, I'm 51, so I was impressed. So I'm going to go ahead. You want to play the trailer real quick? We could do that. If you want to play that real quick, we'll put it
I'd
out there
love
so everybody can see it.
Yeah, I'd love to
All
play
right.
the trailer.
And this is the trailer for the movie that Bron is doing with his White Ninja production, and it's at theaters right now.
Right, we're doing the festival run and renting out theaters ourselves, so it's small right now, but we are submitting to bigger theaters to do an actual theater run. So hopefully we'll be in the AMCs soon.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I watched last night. I watched on my way to bed. I watched Half Dead on Amazon Prime.
Half Dead
Pretty
Fred?
good. I was impressed. Yeah, I was impressed. I was impressed, definitely.
Thanks.
All
Have
right,
you seen, did you see the end? Did you
No,
see the
I
end?
fell asleep. No, I was sleeping.
The movie is the end. Just remember that. It's like Sixth Sense, where it's like Sixth Sense. Or did you see Sixth Sense? Sorry.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so you know how the reveal at the end is the movie? It's like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That he was dead the whole time. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of what Half Dead Fred is. Like, it is the movie. So please make it to the end if you can.
Well, I put it on at 1 o'clock in the morning as I was sleeping, so I was
Right.
getting ready to sleep. So, all right, let me play this trailer so everybody can see what it is. Here we go.
I can't hear it. Can you hear it?
That's hilarious. The pancakes are good here, but they're not that good.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it on my end, so I assume my end gets shut off, right? For that?
I hope so. I don't know. I guess that's what it is. I hope that's what it is. I've done a whole lot with the Riverside. I'm just learning it. I know
Okay.
every time I have done it, we've had some luck with it with everything we've done, and I believe that it's going to record just fine.
Okay.
And when it went out, hopefully, I pray that's what happened. But now you got me nervous. I don't know.
I'm not
But
familiar with Riverside, but you know what's funny is when I tried to log in, we had our technical difficulties. I guess it said that I already had an account. You know what I mean? So I guess I've been here before. A lot of podcasts they do different systems. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to you last night, Odyssey, whatever that is.
Audacity, yeah, that's the
Audacity.
audio version. Yeah.
Right, I do that one a little bit more often, a couple other ones. But anyway, apparently I've been to Riverside before. Couldn't get it to work on my main computer, but we're on the laptop, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know we were trying to figure it out, couldn't figure it out, and I'm going, I don't understand because I've sent it to everybody, and I've done it 3 times now before you, and everybody just seemed to log on. It seemed the simplest, so that's why I keep using it because it just kind of gets the job done real simple. And I was having too many issues with any of the other ones, like trying to use it with OBS and everything, because I use OBS to be able to look at what I'm seeing, and I'm set in my ways. What am I gonna do?
Yeah. How long have you had this bar?
I've had the bar about 7 years.
Okay. So
But
you
I've
made it
been,
through COVID.
I did. COVID was rough, although I'm still feeling the effects of it. It was when COVID for me was, and most people, I don't want to bore people. Everybody listens to my show knows how it went down, but we got a lot of support from the community. We opened up. It's a bar and restaurant, and we're known for having really good food here. So when we shut down, we did to goes, and I sold more actually in to go food than I did business when I was open. I actually did better during COVID, but the effects afterwards of people not coming out, people not wanting to come out, the cost of utilities, the cost of food, like those effects, I'm still feeling. They're rough. I mean, it's in fact there's 3 other bars right on the same. I'm on a pretty busy 4-lane road here, and I'm the only one left. The rest have all closed. So
Yeah.
I've managed to keep it, but I'm only by the skin of my teeth, you know. It's
Yeah.
if it
Tough
wasn't for the
business.
construction, I would be gone, basically. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it is what it is. But you make a living just doing artwork and art and movies and
You
all the
know,
different fun stuff.
I have several jobs. I don't only make my money from movies. I edit, so that comes in handy for other people's projects. But I also do murals. I'm like a professional graffiti artist, if you will. I do more of that for large amounts of money than I do filmmaking. I do a lot of filmmaking, but the revenue that you get from filmmaking and independent film is kind of small. You know what I mean? It all kind of trickles in. It's like having stocks and they all kind of like do something different. But
I
yeah,
mean, I'm watching these movies you're making, though. You're definitely not doing them on an iPhone. So, I mean,
uh,
there's got to be some cost to them, right?
yeah, there's cost to them, but you know what? It's funny you mentioned iPhone because the next movie I'm doing is going to be on entirely iPhone.
I've thought about that. Like they keep saying there's other people that have done that, and the
Yeah.
quality of the video on iPhones is amazing.
Well, some of Pancake Man we shot on a iPhone 15 Pro Max, and we shot
No
it with the
kidding.
Black Magic app on there. Yeah, it shoots 4K and it has amazing, quality and footage. So yeah, we shot some of it on there, and then we shot some of it on a Red camera, which is obviously a more fancy camera, and then we matched them. It's not impossible, so I think the next one, yeah, we're looking at just doing full iPhone movie. Why not?
That's cool. But then what I'll save the cost, right? For sure.
Oh, there's still a cost. No, even if you shoot it on an iPhone, there's still cost. You got to feed people, pay people, lighting, locations. There's a million reasons to spend money, but if you can try to do your best and use your resources, you could spend the least amount of money. You know what I mean? So you could try to get a return on your investment.
Have you made profit off a movie yet, per se?
I would say the biggest profit. I'm consistently making money off some projects, but the biggest profit that I've made from movie making is when I made graffiti documentaries in late 2000s, from 2006 to 2008, 2005, 2008. What happened was is I got a job doing live painting for rap groups and R&B and rap groups. So I would travel all around with these bands. And when I traveled, I'd shoot like these little documentary segments and put them together and make little movies. And I made these movies called Graph Life. And then I would distribute them through certain art stores and certain companies and DVDs. This is back in DVD world, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore because the DVD world is nothing, right? But there was a big thing that happened in 2008 that kind of crushed that scheme. 2008, we had a big financial crisis, number one. And in 2008, YouTube just kind of like blew up, right? So, like, everything that you're trying to sell hard copy wise could just be grabbed and put on YouTube.
Sure.
So long story short, I think based on the money I put in and the money I got out, that was the most money that I've made because it costs so much to hire actors to do narrative. You know what I mean?
Sure,
It
that
doesn't
makes sense.
cost much for documentary stuff usually has the higher return on the investment because you spend so little on the actual production. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I watch a lot of documentaries on YouTube. Actually, I mean, I do a lot
Yeah.
of. I like. Man, I don't know. Not graffiti, but I mean like more like old house walkthroughs or abandoned property walkthroughs or things like that. For some reason, that gets me excited, and I like it. But I would think that would be cheaper because you really, like you say, no actors, just you and a camera, maybe one helper, maybe. You
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah. When you shoot something like Half Dead Fred, you are flying people to Flint, Michigan, and you are, obviously having a big catering setup and multiple days, and it gets costly. People don't realize how expensive filmmaking
Yeah, and
is.
in Flint, you got to send in bottled water. You got a lot of bottled water you got to bring in.
We do. We did have bottled water there. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say confetti, or I'm sorry, graffiti, are you talking spray cans, like spray painting them, or like actual like art, like painting a mural, or it's just like spray paint art murals?
Both. It's both spray paint and bucket paint or acrylic. It's both murals. I come from the graffiti side heavy, which is lettering. And graffiti by definition is illegal, but that stuff is kind of transitioned into a lot of things nowadays. You know what I mean? That's like out of that uh, criminal zone to commercial zone. So I make a lot more money, doing big jobs for architects and companies like Google or Facebook, and I mean I've worked for all the horrible corporations. Um, but it's I know, yeah. When you think of graffiti, you're probably just thinking of like a tag on the side. I mean, being in the little city in Ohio, and in Ohio in general, there's probably not a crazy amount of graffiti. But when you see it, it's probably shitty, and so you probably have a bad image of what that word means. You know what I mean?
Well, the reason I bring it up is we have a local superstar over here by the name of Mike Secleter.
Okay.
He's amazing. But he doesn't do like like lettering, but he does some amazing imagery. In fact, I could probably pull up some of his stuff. That's the only reason I brought it up. He gets commissioned to paint, a lot of like veteran stuff, or he recently just went down to Key West and there was an old factory down there where he had here it is right here actually. I can show it to you. Let me see how I can right frame, right screen. Jimmy Woodway, there we go, right there. So this is Mike's page here. But see, he did this building here with we can probably get these pictures a little
Oh
bigger.
yeah. That
And
was cool.
I mean,
Mhm.
he's a rock star. I mean, some of the stuff he's done is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing.
Mhm.
And he comes into the bar here with his dad. His dad's a real regular here. He comes, his dad likes our ribs on Thursday and things like that. But he's got on here a lot of like this one here,
Mhm.
and it's not really like that's why I was wondering, like, do you do that type of mural type stuff or just,
Yeah, I
the other?
do. I do that as well.
See like that there. I mean, it's beautiful. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
cool stuff that he does.
I paint birds. I paint birds
Birds?
like that. That looks like it's acrylic. Is brush acrylic? It looks like. Yeah, he's got a brush and little. Yeah, that looks like acrylic. Yep.
One of the big ones he did over here was it's a veterans park, and he did the murals there. It's kind of neat. Like he made it. He did an Iwo Jima where the flag is actually there's an actual flag sticking out of the artwork. So it's like the flag is actually a real flag, but it goes right down into the artwork itself. Let
Mm.
me see if I can find. That's the only one, and I'll stop with showing you his stuff. But I was curious if you did this kind of stuff or if you just did the graffiti type.
Oh, I do
You know,
both. I like the graffiti more, but I do plenty of mural stuff. We just painted a squirrel in Michigan, me and my lady. My lady's a good artist too, so we kind of like do them together sometimes.
oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Who's better, you or her?
Oh, she's far better.
You better say she is. You don't have
Uh,
a choice.
it's different. We do different things, but she's a far better artist. Oh, that's cool. Oh, you know what? I think I've seen that.
Have you?
I think I've seen that. And the end is the actual flag, right?
Yep. That's the actual
Yeah, I
flag.
can only see a corner of it, but I know what it is. I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
Yeah,
Cool.
Mike is he's a rock star. He's really good at what he does for sure. No
And that
question.
mural's in your town? That one?
That's it. It's right next to us in Amherst. Yeah,
Hmm.
he's at. There's a we're a. It's in Lorain County. We're a small town. Amherst is where it's just it's a upper scale neighborhood. You know what I mean? Type. That's more like where I'm from is where the poor people are. I mean, not now. I grew up in the poor people. My bar's in the more like where we're poor, but Amherst was always like we always thought that was the yuppie kids over there. You know,
Yeah.
growing up,
The
they had
smallest
more than we
town
did.
I've been to in Ohio is Akron, I think. I've been to
Akron
Akron.
is not a small town per se. That's a
It was small
medium
to me.
sized town. Huh?
It was small to me. It was because I've been to Cleveland, Cincinnati's in Ohio, right? I've been to Cleveland, Cincinnati, and when I went to Akron, I was like, oh, this is tiny.
By comparison to Cleveland and Cincinnati. I mean, actually, Cincinnati might be the same size as Akron, maybe. I don't know. Population wise, Akron might be not as full, but Cincinnati's a cool town. That is a really cool town. We're right by Cleveland, so I can be in Cleveland in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're just west of there. It's really the city I grew up in is a cool city. It was a steel mill type town with like they had Ford plant and they had the beach. We had lakefront. Like we have lakefront. The whole city has lakefront. So we have some beautiful beaches, parks. We got a river that comes into beautiful riverfront. I mean, it's a wonderful city. But once the mills and stuff kind of disappeared, the money's just not there anymore. But
Right.
it is still a beautiful town, a beautiful city, and I love it. I'd love to see it get better, but I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens with. I'm not. I was looking. I see you got a movie named MAGA. MAGA.
I
Yeah,
do.
where you guys assassinated Trump in the movie, right?
You've seen it?
I just kind of I kind of heard about it, and I'm like, is this like, how did that like go over after they actually tried to kill Trump?
Well, okay, first of all, we don't show any killing of any president in the movie, just to be clear. There's
Yeah,
no
you don't
killing.
have to. It's on live TV. You don't have.
Yeah, there's no killing. There's no killing of any presidents. There is insinuation, and that movie we made before a long time ago. That movie came out. It was just a
That's
short.
like 5 years ago, right? 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
it came out when Trump was running, I believe, or when he just got in office, something like that. And it's a comedy. And what it is, it's a dark comedy, obviously, but it's a comedy. And what it is it's two hitmen, and one's an extreme Republican, one's an extreme Democrat, and they're arguing about issues the whole movie. And they get this next job, and they don't know who it is, but da 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 da. And then at the end, they find out it's the president. He's in a tanning bed, and obviously the Republican needs to make his decision of whether he's going to complete his job or not. But it's really
spray tan booth, right? I mean, that orange color ain't from a tanning, but that's got to be a spray tan, right? It's got to be a spray tan. It should have been a spray tan booth, not a regular tanning bed.
I can't remember. So you've seen it?
No, I'm just saying it should be. I'm just wondering. You said
Oh,
tanning.
are you talking about on Real Trump?
I'm talking about the real Trump. Yeah, he's
Oh,
orange. When
okay,
he's
okay.
orange, that's got to be like. There's girls that work here that won't use tanning beds, but they do the spray tan, and it's like it looks a little ridiculous. It's orange every time.
It's super orange on that man. Yes.
Yes.
And I just can't remember what we did to our actor because we have a impersonator. I think it was just makeup, but he might have done a spray tan. I can't remember. This was a while ago. But that movie's probably going to be re-released. It was on Amazon for a while. You can see it on Amazon now, but it's not available. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it once was on Amazon, and it's just a short film. I hope, like, people told me not to make that movie, but I just did it anyway. It's a total joke. It's not necessarily, implying that you should do those things. It's obviously a comedy.
Yeah,
Uh,
but did you worry once they actually tried to assassinate him? Like, oh shit.
um, I don't know about worry. I don't know. You get put on these lists, and maybe I'm on the list for it. I mean, I acted in it, but I technically didn't direct that. Someone else directed it, so maybe he would be put on the list. Hopefully, no, just kidding. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. But it is comedy, so it's not a very serious thing. I mean, I think they make worse movies. I think there's worse movies on Netflix right now about Trump and his kids and stuff like that. And just to be fair with everybody, because I don't really talk too many politics in my world, right? Because you never know who you're talking to. But I don't trust any politics. I don't trust the Democrats. I don't trust the Republicans. I'm not on either side. Do you know what I mean? If anything, I'm more on the side of why do we only have two choices? You know what I mean? I'm on the side of like the government is my enemy no matter what kind of
I
side.
know, and I've thought about that. We talk about my partner that I do the podcast with, Guido. We talk about that. He doesn't like that there's only two parties. But the
Yeah.
problem I have with that is if there was like say 5 people running, you know
Mhm.
what I mean, that we had to vote for, they might only have to win 30% to win, and that's like I don't like that either. You know what I mean? I still kind of like
Well,
that more of the country likes one than the other. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
like
Well, here's the other thing that I believe. Number one, we have an electoral college that makes supposedly, we have an electoral college, which means a small group of people are making these decisions. No matter what your state thinks, no matter what your state votes. But I don't even believe that those votes are going towards the outcome. I believe that there's a secret society made up of like the Rothschilds, the JP Morgans, the Kennedys, the elite, very wealthy people that run things for the last, few hundred years in our country. I think they make the decision, and I don't think it's based on votes. Now, if I'm wrong, could be wrong, I don't know. But if I'm wrong and it is based on votes, then the other argument I have is, well, there's a lot of room for human error in voting. You know what I mean? In
yep.
computer errors, in human errors, just not doing something or doing something more than. So I'm very skeptical of our system the way that it is, and I don't know if it ever was. Yeah, maybe it started out like a good plan, but somewhere along the line, I think the line's blurred, and I don't think we're in control as much as we like to think. That's just my opinion. I could be
Have
wrong.
you ever read the book Chaos?
No,
That'll change your mind about everything. That's for sure. If you had any faith in the system, chaos will destroy you.
I don't
I
have
mean,
much faith in the system, so
well, it's chaos is about it's about Manson, and it's about the government basically created Manson, and it's not even like they're stating facts. Like it's like this is stuff that went in front of our congressional hearings that after the fact, and it's like holy shit, like they really did create Manson. That's great, and and it goes on and on, but there's like that MK Ultra. I'm sure you've heard of that, right?
okay.
MK Ultra program. That's all part of that in that Chaos book, and Chaos is a program also. And you start looking at it, and you go, man, and that was in the '60s, and they seem like they're way shadier now. That's in my opinion. I don't know,
Yeah,
but they have more eyes on them now. They're probably just as shady back then. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't trust any of them.
yeah. I think humans, by nature, And it's hard to think like this if you're just like a regular person just trying to have a good life, you know what I mean? And you know you're born and then all of a sudden you're put in a system. No matter what system that is, you're put in a system. We're in like a capitalist system, and we have to do A, B, and C in America to do this or whatever. And it could be a lot worse. I could be born in Thailand where my life's not worth much, you know what I mean, to people. But whatever system you're born in, it's a system that is created already that you have to kind of conform to. So if you ever wonder, like, why is there so many homeless? Why is there so many people that have problems with their brains, have issues, you know, with mental health and da, da, da. Well, maybe their minds or their bodies can't handle the system. You know what I mean? It doesn't like the system, and I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Because this system is forced upon us, right? We don't have a say in it. You know, if you want to take a shower and live in a nice house with a clean bed, you got to figure out a way to learn capitalism, right? You have to learn the capitalist system and learn how to provide. What if you don't
But
want
you
to
have
do
the
that?
opportunity to get a lot more. I mean, when you get into a system where they're just giving it to you, they're just giving you the barely the minimum. You know, they're
Right.
not giving you anything extra. So, I
Right.
mean, I'm a conservative. That's my
Yeah.
stance. I mean, I stick by it. You know, I know a lot of people don't. I've lost, you know, customers that come into the bar from it, but not very many. But I'm kind of a blue collar bar and restaurant, so it works out all right. They're okay with it. But I at my soul, I'm a conservative. I believe in everybody should work hard, and I think you'd have a lot less depression if you were
Sure.
just working at getting ahead and not sitting around. It seems like the mental issues are always with people that are sitting around hanging out and, you know, don't they have so too much free time. Like, you ever heard idle time, idle mind, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what
No,
I think is the biggest problem.
I agree. I think you should work, but that's just not how everybody's mind thinks, you know? Um, and you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know who should make these decisions, but I think the government makes a lot of bad decisions. And when they make these decisions to try to fix problems, usually somebody down the line just siphons the money and takes it, you know? If
Yep,
you want to
that's a fact.
talk about homeless stuff, like, you know, where I live, there's a lot of homelessness, and a lot of it is mental health, but some of it is not. And I want everyone to work. I think, you know, I'm a big fan of like Atlas Shrugged and, you know, things of that nature, and to be put into perspective. And I don't think everybody should get a handout, but I do think this. I do think this. We have billionaires that will never be able to spend all that money, right? They'll never be able to spend that money. Some of that money, I think, could be used to help humankind out a little bit more in a little bit different direction. That's it. That's all I believe. I don't believe just giving it away to people, but figuring out a better way to help people is what being a human should be about.
Well, I mean, it's part of the problem is too, right? Like in California, you can go get a job in California and not afford a place to live.
Absolutely.
A decent job, and still not afford a place to live. It's so expensive. I have a friend down there, and I mean, he does well though. He's a comedian. He grew up with me, went to high school with me, Sean Nat,
Uh-huh.
and he lives down there. He seems to be doing okay with it. His wife's an attorney, and he's a comedian. And I mean, he works his ass off. She works their ass off. It's not like they're living, you know, high on the hog. You know, if that for the same kind of money, you could live in Ohio, or even better, Myrtle Beach. Like, my sister lives in Myrtle Beach, and I mean, we like here to build a new house, you're talking 150 to 200 square foot. You know,
Mhm.
my sister, where she built her house, it's like 90 in Myrtle Beach. I mean, and you're in Myrtle Beach compared to Ohio. So, I mean, that's, you know, and maybe it went up a little bit since she built hers a couple years ago, but still, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense why it's so damn expensive. And especially with everybody, there's a lot of people leaving California. You would think that the prices would come down with everybody leaving, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
It's very expensive, but is it snowing where you live right now? Is it cold?
It is cold, yes, absolutely.
Well, that's one reason why I live here, because I don't want to be in the cold. I want
Well,
to
you could do
be
that in Florida and have the same. You could have a lot more freedoms in Florida than you can in California.
I don't like Florida. Florida.
No, you don't like it at all.
Nah, I don't like Florida at all.
There, a lot of them are moving to Texas. You know,
I,
Austin. What Joe Rogan's got going on in Austin now is insane. He's got so many people move down there now. You know, it's
yeah,
wild.
I actually like Austin a lot, and I like Texas. Property values cheaper, property taxes is higher than California, actually, I believe. But it's really hot there. The weather there is crazy, you know.
Crazy hot.
Yeah, it's
See,
like
I'm different. I like the snow. I grew up in it, but I
yeah,
like the snow. I think it's beautiful when it snows outside. I love it. It's cold. It's beautiful. I love it. Cold, I don't care for. The snow is amazing. I love it. But our summers are, I mean, magical. I mean, yeah, our summers. I've got a boat. We've got Lake Erie. I can go anywhere I want on my boat, my jet skis, and I mean, we love it. We keep our boat docked down at the marina, and we can just get out and we got the islands. You ever heard of Putin Bay?
no.
It's an island. There's like 3 islands over there. It's like Kelly's Island, Putin Bay, which is South Bass Island, and then there's another one called Middle Bass Island that are in the United States side. There's another one, Perry Island, which that's on the Canadian side. But these islands are awesome. Like you can jump in my boat and like in 40 minutes I'm on an island with like 10 swim up bars, you know, wild party, no like kids anywhere. You're just kicking and having a good time. It's fun. It's just a blast. Putin Bay is one of the coolest places, one of the best kept secrets, I think, in the US. You know, it's pretty wild. Have some good times there. And I mean, our summers are pretty cool. Yeah, you got to close the boat down in the winter, and you got to close your pool in the winter and all that stuff. But then you get to enjoy the snow and Christmas trees, and I like it personally. I love it myself. I really do. That's one of my, you know, when you were down in Flint, it must have been summertime, huh?
We shot. Well, I go to Flint quite a bit because I do murals there with the Flint Public Art Project. So I've been there quite a few times, and that's why we shot there because I knew a guy with a house that looks like a haunted house. You know,
Okay.
it looks like it's haunted. So we shot that in October, and in October is supposed to be a good month. You know. But same thing. If you watch the movie, as the movie's playing, like you could see sun reappearing and disappearing, and that's all in the shot. You know what I mean? Like so.
Right.
And then it would rain, and we actually had to add something in the movie about rain. You know what I mean? Because it would rain, and then it would stop, and then it would rain. You know, so it rained in October. But yeah, I have a place in my heart for Flint because I've been going there a long time, and it's kind of like what you were saying, you know, with the mills leaving and stuff like that in Ohio. Obviously, that's similar to Michigan in general with the car industry, and
Yeah.
you know they've had some tough times. Flint, in particular, I mean, as well as Michigan, but Flint, and then the water thing that you briefly discussed too. So yeah, they're the underdogs, you know, and I have some really good friends there, and so hopefully I can go back and do another movie. We were talking about doing a zombie movie there, so maybe that'll happen one day. But I have some good friends there. My assistant director lives there, meaning I bring him here to shoot because he's so good. So yeah, I like Flint. I actually like Ohio too. I like Cleveland. I like a lot. My buddy lives in Cleveland, and I like any area that is by bodies of water. Do you know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah, and that's kind of how we are. Yeah, Lorraine we're just west of Cleveland, so we're right on the lake just like they are. We're the bigger mistake on the lake. No. But I mean it's cool. It's a cool town. I love it personally. I like the snow. I like the summers. I enjoy the summers. I mean, obviously the most, but they're only really you really only enjoy them about 4 months a year or something to that effect. Where yeah, I get it. You're doing the sunny California thing, but I've never been there, so I can't say I wouldn't like California. I would love it. Who knows? But I've never been there. I certainly know I didn't like my daughter being there, and it was expensive, and you know, it was like I think it was like 7 of them had to put together to afford an apartment or something back then. You know, it's pretty crazy. And I think Nat, when he was there, when he first got there was like something like he had like a flop house he was staying in with like 10 comedians or something, you know. So it was it's expensive to live there. That part I don't like. I know that. I like to live as cheap as I possibly can. That way I can have freedom. To me, the cheaper you can live, the more freedom you have.
Yeah,
You know,
usually that equates correctly. I just don't know where else I'd move. I've lived up and down the West Coast, which I like the best. But me and my wife talk about it like, well, where else would we go? I don't know. Because we're so accustomed to this, and we're weak when it comes to weather. Like, I like looking at snow. I don't like shoveling it. I don't
that's
want
why
to
you
be.
buy 4x4 trucks. You just, my theory is God put it there, let him pick it up, and I'll buy a 4x4. You know, that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
I do it. You know, I just droll through it with 4x4 trucks. We just use trucks.
yeah.
But a lot of people like to get out there with their blower and have it neat. I'm not doing that. That is not happening. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah, the only thing that we could come up with is maybe somewhere in Europe or something, maybe Spain or Rome or somewhere like that, maybe to live or retire, or I don't know, just
What
something.
did she do?
What's that?
What's your wife do?
She's an artist too. Right now, she's on a set. She's assisting. She's PAing really, but she's assisting for a music video today. She's actually in the SAG union too, which is the actors
Screen
union.
Actors Guild, yeah.
She's not an actor at all, but that was like her backup plan. And I actually met her on a set. I met her on that old TV show called Boston Public, if you remember
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, Boston Public. So that's how I met her. We were both extras on it, just working, and that was her backup plan to just be a extra. But she's way more talented of an artist to waste her time doing that, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess we'll get back on this movie you got. You said you're going around doing a circuit. For
Yeah,
this
well, we're doing
people.
the film festival circuit. So when you make a movie and you want to play it in festivals because you want to get awards, right? You want to show that it's got awards. People like that. You get more response from distributors and people want to see it more. So we just actually played at the Chinese theater here in Hollywood, and we won Best Horror Film from the Silicon Beach Film Festival, which was great. And then I went to Flint, Michigan, and played Half Dead Fred, that movie, double feature. I did that movie and Pancake Man at the university. And the university has a great theater. It's probably one of the best theaters I've shown any of my movies at. So anyway, yeah, we're just trying to do that. The festival circuit usually takes about a year, because these festivals are spread out all over. And I'm actually going to shoot a music video for it for the end credit song, kind of like they did in the '90s, when all the movies had like a music video with the actors in them and stuff like that.
Sure, sure.
I kind of like doing that. We did that for Half Dead Fred, and that turned out good. You just kind of like interweave like your storyline with your musician with the movie. So it's kind of like another trailer for the movie in a weird way, like, hey, watch
Sure.
it. That's kind of what you
And
have
I
to
heard
do.
Half Dead Fred, I heard too, you have like a drinking game attached to it.
We do. We have a drinking game that goes with Half Dead Fred. So in the movie, our lead detective, his name is Freddie Nash, and he's played by Corin Nemec. The drinking game goes like this: you split the room up into two groups, group one and two. Group one drinks every time Freddie Nash drinks. So Freddie Nash is an alcoholic, and he drinks from a flask quite a bit. Group one drinks when he drinks, and group two drinks every time they hear the word Mr. Yamasaki. And Mr. Yamasaki is kind of like his assistant, his Watson to Sherlock Holmes, if you
It was
will.
like this driver, right?
His driver, yeah, he's his
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
assistant. But you got to watch it closely. Like that's one of those movies where you kind of have to watch it all very closely because what you're seeing isn't exactly what it is because it's all told from his perspective. So
See, we should do that. If you're ever in the Cleveland area in the summertime,
drinking game.
reach out to me, and what we'll do is we'll set it up I've got a 20-foot blow up screen, and I'll put it out. I got an outdoor patio. I'll
Oh,
put it
cool.
on the outdoor patio, and we'll put it on the 20-foot blow up screen, and we'll have all the bar, play the drinking game with it. That would be funny.
That would be
That would be
fun.
cool. If you ever come up, that would be cool. We'll do that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, when you hit me up yesterday, I looked into your bar and I'm like, oh, this little town right here, and I like zoomed it in, you know what I mean? I'm like looking at it, I'm like, when will I be up there next? Because ironically, now it's been maybe 2 years, but I shot a movie in Indianapolis, and I guess it was just easier for me to fly to Cleveland, you know what I mean, and drive over there. I did this drive or whatever, and I'm all, man, if they do a screening of that movie when I go out there for the premiere, I should go visit this guy James over here. I was like thinking in my head, like that's kind of like how my brain works. I kind of go into overdrive and think about
Oh, it
things.
would be fun. Everybody here, all the regulars here, they'd love it. They would think that was hilarious. Any excuse to drink. I mean, any of my friends or any of my Patreons, if they got an excuse to drink, they're going to do it. And, that just
Yeah,
gives them one. They'll love it for sure.
yeah,
But
drinking games are good. We have one for the new movie too. It's because my new movie, this Pancake Man movie, our lead guy is stabbing people with a fork, right?
okay.
And so that's like one of the things. If same thing, you do two groups, and every time we've only played this once, by the way, and the people that were in group one that got stabbed or whatever with the fork, they drink every time a fork stabs somebody. They couldn't do it. There's too many times, 3 times. And then the other one I think is anytime somebody mentions a dog. I think that was it. I don't know. I gotta go look at my drinking
Where
game.
did this Pancake Man even come from?
Well, that's a great question. So I was on set with this buddy of mine, and we were all just kind of joking around. And he is a vegan, and this is the lead in the movie Pancake Man. He is a vegan. His name's Michael De La Pia, and he's a vegan, but he loves pancakes. He eats pancakes a lot, right? It's just a thing. This was a few years ago. We were on set in a studio, and we're joking around. I was with a couple other actors that we've all know each other from different movies, and I forget who said like, "Well, who would he be? If he was a killer." And I started saying Pancake Man. I started calling him Pancake Man. And so it started like a joke, right? In which a lot of movies do start like this. They start as jokes. So it's kind of a joke. And then what had happened is he was in the works of a slasher movie. He was trying to make I think it was a slasher movie. It was a horror movie with him being the lead. And the script wasn't working out. I read the script. It was by somebody else. It wasn't working out. And I was like, you know what? I think I can write something. I think I can write a slasher, which I don't even like slashers, to be honest. If you watch my movies, they're not like really horror movies. Like even Half Dead Fred, it fits in the horror category, but it's not. It's a film noir. It's a mystery. It's a whodunit. It's who killed this person. And then it's a buddy film. It's him and this guy. So I don't necessarily really enjoy horror movies. And the reason why is the script usually sucks to me. You know what I mean? Like I just don't like the storyline. Like having somebody just walk around killing people is not enough for me. It's really not.
I don't know though, because Scream, that was quite amazing.
Scream had more of a story. There was more of a mystery.
To me, that was the only horror movie I really cared for.
Also, it was a comedy.
Yeah, I do like. I'm a funny. I like comedy for sure.
I mean, I love Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. You know what I mean? I love those movies. But, I don't like movies like, have you seen Midsommar?
No.
Okay, don't. Because I hate that movie. You know what I mean? Anyway.
I'm not a scary movie guy. I've never been into the scary movies at all. It's never been my thing.
Well, I'm not into, I'm into good stories. If it's scary, fine. Fine. You know what I mean? I'll take it. If it's a good story, if it's an original story, that's what I hold first. Then I look at the, acting and the, all the other things. I look at story first. So back to Pancake Man. I just read this script and I think I can write a better slasher. So I started writing it, and I'd send him 15 pages, send him 20 pages. I'm, well, what do you think? Should I keep going? Should I stop? Whatever. And he liked it, and we just it kind of built from there. Started as a joke, um, and it's heavily influenced by like Guy Ritchie movies. Um, have you seen the movie Falling Down? Have you seen
Yeah.
that movie?
Yeah.
It's influenced by that movie, Falling Down, where a
Okay.
guy gets pushed to the edge and then he just goes on a rampage. And it's just a little bit more severe because this guy is actually killing people. But the way I do it is kind of like Reservoir Dogs. So I show a killing scene and then I show a flashback of why he would kill those people. Slumdog Millionaire did that a lot too. Like he gets the answer correct and then they show why he got the answer correct. I kind
Yeah.
of I kind of did that format. Um, but I say Guy Ritchie movie because a lot of Guy Ritchie movies are failed criminals, and that's has a lot to do with this movie. But it's like different stories, and they all meet at the end in a Mexican standoff. Very Pulp Fiction-y. What's another? Have you seen Snatch? Snatch is like that. That's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah, I think I have seen that actually. It's been a
I,
while though.
I love Snatch. Yeah, I just take
What'd
influence
you
from
think?
my
What'd you
favorite.
think? Does your
The
wife know that?
I love Snatch. Oh, she knows I love Snatch. Yeah. And then Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is a very good movie. So anyway, yeah, I kind of combine all my favorite stuff, and then what I try to do is focus on scenes and write good scenes and develop the
How do you
character.
come up with the money to do it though? If you're just basically like working to live and do your thing, you're not like really making money off the projects. Where do you end up with the money?
Well, I think I mean, we made a lot of money off the premiere. We made money off the premiere. Listen, there's money to be made. It's just you got to figure out how to do it, right? Just
Okay.
because at this moment I've made the most in the DVD world doesn't mean that's not going to be surpassed. You know what I mean? It's a
Sure.
long game. So I consistently make money on Half Dead Fred, just not the money that you'd want. You know what I mean? Like I think our first 2 weeks we made a couple thousand, and then if we made a couple thousand every 2 weeks, that would work out great. You know what I mean? But it doesn't work like that. It goes in like these spurts because your distribution gets different deals all the time. So it's just like little things come in. You know what I mean? It's like little gigs. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down.
Do you
Um,
edit the videos yourself?
I edit these two movies. Yeah, I save a lot of money by doing a lot of jobs. To answer your question, we did an Indiegogo for Half Dead Fred, and we did an Indiegogo for Pancake Man. Two for each.
What's an
And
Indiegogo? What does
an
that mean?
Indiegogo is a website that you can raise money for projects, for films and other type of projects. And Indiegogo has a huge film community that most of them support each other, and it's a small little world. You run into a lot of the same people, and you donate money to make films happen, really. And so we raised, I believe, Half Dead Fred, I think, got 17 grand, and then we made a follow up for 5 grand. I think it made a little over 20 towards that one, and then Pancake Man made double that. So, will it finance the whole movie? Probably not, but it's good for marketing and it's good for to get some of your budget for having these projects made. But if you do these and people donate or people know about it or people see it, they're already rooting for you before you even make the movie. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that
So
makes
it's a good business model. There's a lot of little chinks in the armor. There's a lot of things you got to go through. Little red tape here and there to make the best project possible. But I do think it's a good thing to do if you're an independent filmmaker and you don't know somebody that's rich. When the first movies I made, I just borrowed the money from drug dealers. You know what I mean?
really.
Yeah. When I made
What
my
does white ninja mean? Are you trying to say is that like code for wigger?
um no, not necessarily.
Not necessarily as a yes, for sure. It has to be.
No,
right?
not necessarily.
Or is it like,
It stemmed more from my graffiti related stuff than that. I think just because I'm white, maybe you think that, but it's more for
well, and then I seen you did some kind of hip hop stuff too. You were doing a lot with some, what was that? It's like you did some kind of rap thing or something, right?
I've done comedy raps myself, and I know a ton of people in the music industry that I do graphic design for and music videos for, and all kinds of stuff. If you watch our music video for Half Dead Fred, it's a rap song, and it's the end credit song. Maybe I'll send that to you later. But yeah, I have a big. I love hip hop. You know what I mean. I've definitely been on tour with. I was been on tour with the Roots. LL Cool J, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, a lot of big rap groups in my time. So I'm a fan of rap music. Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Oh, I grew up on rap music for sure. I'm a little older than you. I was like more like UTFO and Roxanne type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit before, I mean, not that I love Dre and Snoop and all that when they came out, but I mean, my younger years was Too Short and Houdini and UTFO, and
Yeah.
that was my young years. I never really liked anything else, and then as I got older, I got into rock a little bit more and country and stuff like that. But as a kid, I was all rap, all hip hop.
I love rap. And I think I loved it more when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I had an older cousin who made me mixtapes, and he introduced me to like NWA, Too Short, Ice T, Sir Mix-a-Lot. He had all these things, and it's like gold back then. Do you know what I mean? Because before
oh
the
yeah,
internet, it was a different game of distribution. You know what I mean? A different game of how you know things. How do
sure.
you find out things?
Yeah, because a
So,
lot of those guys weren't on the radio. A lot of that
oh,
music wasn't on the radio, so you
right.
had to, yeah, you had to get it through a tape or whatever you want to call it. You had to get it. Do you listen to any other kind of music at all?
I listen to a lot of punk rock music, and I'm pretty heavily involved in that as well. As far
Really?
as
You know
like
who the Spud Monsters are?
Spud Monsters. No,
Like Don Fuzzy,
I do not.
John Joseph. You know who John Joseph is?
No,
Cro-Mags in New
I
York.
know who the Cro-Mags are.
That's John Joseph.
I painted a mural with a Cro-Mags poster on it here in Long Beach.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
John Joseph is actually supposed to be on the podcast in I think February. He's going
Oh,
to come up and do the podcast. He's going to do some book signings here and stuff like that. He's got that book. I forget all the different books. I know the one's funny. It's called Meat is for Pussies. He's a vegan, John
okay.
Joseph is. So he's got one called Meat is for Pussies. And then Don Fuzzy was on just recently, which is Don Fuzzy is the one that he's also a vegan, but he was the lead singer of uh, the Spud Monsters, which they're big in Germany and Europe. They're still played in MTV there. And he's actually in a group called One Life All In right now. And he's with a bunch of French guys and pretty good music. I mean, really good music. If you like punk music, that's
I
what they
do.
do.
I do like punk music. I've been in a few punk rock music videos as well. I'll send you those later. But what's the movie that's coming out or just came out with? I think it's like the drummer, the guy that was a kid drummer, and then I think he was in the Cro-Mags, right? You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
there's something coming out. I saw about that. Yeah.
I kind of
I
want to
only
see
know
that.
John Joseph through him, that through Don Foos. Don Foos is from Cleveland.
Hmm.
Spud Monsters were from Cleveland. They
Okay.
were they were intertwined with Mushroom Head. You know who Mushroom Head is?
No.
No, really? Wow. Okay. All right. I don't know
No.
what punk music is in
The,
in the West Coast. It must be
well,
different.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's different, but I'm not going to know local bands in Cleveland. I used to live next to SST Records, so that's like,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
Mushroom Head and Spud Monsters is. Geez, Don Foos has traveled to 23 countries. I mean, he's on MTV. He's a big deal. You know what I mean? Or was at one time.
well, in
And
high
Mushroom Head's a
school,
lot bigger.
I grew up with like Bad Religion and Pennywise and NoFX and those kind of bands,
I think
Descendants.
Yeah, I think that's predating him. I think he's more after that. You probably that's yeah, you're predating him for sure.
Yeah, those are the groups that I, you know, kind of like loved when I was a kid, and I still listen to a lot of them. I know a lot of these people now. I like a buddy of mine was the drummer in the Vandals, the drummer in No Effects, Eric. I know, as well as Fat Mike. Fat Mike married me. I got married at the Punk Rock Museum.
Oh, really? That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and Fat
That's
Mike
pretty cool.
was my officiant, so he was drinking tequila. So yeah, I mean, I obviously I don't know every punk band, but I got some friends in punk bands. I was in a few music videos from Fat Records, and just too many to name. Really, I'll send them to you later, you know, at another time. But I do like punk music. I'm not gonna know every band. You know what I mean?
I'm not. It's not really my thing. I'm
Yeah.
not. I've never been into it. I listen to it just because of Fuzi and John Joseph. I listen to those specifically to hear their music. Now, Fuzi's music that he has One Life All In now, they are more for me. Like that's more my style. It's a little better than. But I mean, these guys are older guys. They're freaking vegans. They're flying on stage, jumping and crazy. It's like makes you want to change your diet. That's for sure. You know what I mean? I could see like
Yeah.
I could see changing my diet for that reason. They look like they're living a lot healthier life than me. My joints are hurting. I got gout. I got, I'm eating too much meat and drinking too much beer.
Yeah, when you get older, man, you gotta like take care more. I just had an MRI the other day just to just for precautions, and
A
seems like I'm safe.
precautionary MRI? You just got a precautionary MRI?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to
Gee.
see if I had like cancer. I'm diabetic, so I shoot up insulin, and I just want to make sure that I don't have pancreatic cancer or any other cancer. But yeah, yeah, man, I just want to be safe.
Yeah, I never heard of anybody doing that just for fun.
Well, actually, it was fun because I watched Seinfeld the whole time. It only took like 30 minutes, and I watched an episode of Seinfeld when I was in that thing. So it was actually not bad.
I'm a big Seinfeld fan. I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
love
When
me
I
some
was in high
Seinfeld.
school, we had Seinfeld parties. People would come over and we just watch Seinfeld, and I miss those kind of days, when you had to like actually get together to do something.
And wait for the episode. All that it's coming out. I forget. Was Seinfeld was Wednesday night? I can't remember. But I know we would have to like get that. You were waiting for that day. That was when it
Right.
was. It was so different than compared to now. It's you would wait and wait, hoping for that episode to come out or whatever. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they do that. I watched a show called Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, and they did that where it's like it's coming out on Tuesdays. So it kind of reminded me of that nostalgia where you had to wait till the next week. If you haven't seen that, I recommend at least the first 2 or 3 seasons. It's with Steve Martin and Martin Short.
How do you think? How is this changing you? You think and your future, like your plans, like moving forward? Have you had to rethink? You know what I mean? How you were thinking 15 years ago, or I mean, because it's just so different now. It's not like there's not NBC is nothing now. You don't even want a contract with NBC. You'd rather have it with Netflix or Hulu. You know what I mean? It's like it's so weird now.
Yeah, the whole business model, when you're talking about business side, is very skewed. I mean, it's probably better to go the OnlyFans route where you just create your own business and run it, kind of like what you're doing with your podcast. I think some of the most successful people are doing that. Like, look at Joe Rogan, like he's getting signed for millions of dollars. I think that's the same thing in the entertainment world in general. AI is affecting things. Um, Technology is affecting things. Like 15 years ago, I couldn't make a movie on my phone. Right now, I can. So it's going to do two things. It's going to saturate the market, and it's also going to just take the pay rates, I think, are just going to adjust because there's not enough money for it. You just don't get a return. You can't sell DVDs anymore. Most of the time, you'll lose money at a theater release. Those two things are huge. So streaming is, the future, but streaming is also not a viable way of collecting money for the actual filmmaker. Um, it might be a viable way for the company. Netflix probably is doing good. Their stock's okay, but I don't think it's good for the filmmaker.
And
But on
and
the
that
flip
could
side,
change though. That's the problem. It's so fluid right now. You don't
yeah,
know what the next step is where it's really going to be profitable to who and how the system that it's going to be that's going to be profitable because it's so open the air. There's so many different platforms and processes, and it's just
mhm,
so different now. It's unbelievable to me that
yeah.
what it is. And these like the honestly, what movies I watch. I'll be honest with you. This is something that, and it is hopefully maybe it'll help you. But you know what movies I end up watching? It's the movies that I end up catching a 3-minute reel or TikTok
hmm
of a scene, and I watch and I think, oh wow. And then you can't see what it is. You got to go to the comments to figure out what movie it is or whatever. And then I end up going and buying it on Vudu. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's how I end up. That's the movies I end up picking. I mean, that's a weird way to advertise, and it don't cost nothing. But I mean, it's there. That's an option, to
Well, yeah,
really put 'em out there
that
more.
I mean, that's the same thing as watching a trailer or making a trailer. It's just the places that you put the trailer are different, and normally the time is much shorter that you want to put out because younger people don't have the attention span to watch longer than, 20 seconds or so. Um, but like the trailer that we made for Pancake Man, like that's what you saw, right?
Yeah,
Um, it's kind of like a content is king kind of mentality, I think. But it is the same thing as playing a trailer, and that trailer should get you to want to watch the whole thing, right? But in the future, it's like I think what'll happen is AI will be such a tool that whoever makes the most content will end up getting more views, and then they market it. Marketing is key to any of these things we're discussing.
sure.
Anything you want to do art wise or business wise or anything falls back on how many eyes are on it because so many different humans have different perspectives of life that you get things in the viewing point of a right human, you can go really far.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, I just was wondering how it had affected you. Is there anything that you've used to do any screen, like any scenes in a movie at all through AI?
Not not AI. The only thing AI that I've used is I've made songs for that trailer that you saw. I made that song through AI. I wrote the lyrics and then I did all these plugins to make it sound like an AC/DC slash whatever, and it came out pretty goddamn good. I'm actually really surprised how good music I can make just by saying a few words. That's the only AI stuff that I've implemented so far. But the stuff that I've seen that people are doing is scary. So it's gonna rely.
We've done a couple things where we've messed with it, videos that we've made with it, and it's
Mhm.
actually it's wild what it can do. I mean, it can. I could see where you could snip it and put it into a scene and save yourself all kinds of time, energy, and actors. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
I can see it, and that's amazing to me, actually.
Oh, it's gonna happen because one of the biggest problems on any set, on any movie, on any large project or whatever, entertainment wise, is humans. And if you could take out the human, all the producers are going to do that. You know what I mean? So
Well, you get rid of
actors,
the cost, you get rid of the attitude, you get rid of everything. I mean, you get rid of the food, you get
yep,
rid. I mean, there's so much you get rid of cost wise.
insurance. I don't have to
Yeah,
insure human beings like Tom Cruise and those people. There's more in the insurance for a Tom Cruise film for Tom Cruise not breaking his leg, probably than the whole budget of my movie. You know what I mean?
even more if he's working with Alex Baldwin.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin. Yeah, yeah.
Alec, yeah, Alec
Alec
Baldwin.
Baldwin is not looking good. I mean, I don't want to laugh about it but yeah, that's pretty brutal. That's I don't use any real guns. I don't do any anything like that. I do fake guns when they're shooting plastic little guns.
Yeah, why would they use real guns? I mean, why? I don't understand. Like, I mean, I guess to make it look more realistic. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you could see probably in the trailer. I think my guns look realistic enough for me. I think they look fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Are
I
you?
mean,
Do you own
how real
guns?
do you need it?
Do you own guns or no?
Technically, I do. I learned how to use guns at a young age. So, but rifles mainly, not handguns.
Okay.
But I don't have those guns or any real gun on me. They're all at my parents' house, far away.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't carry in California, right?
You can. There's a lot of little loopholes you got to jump through for a concealed carry or an open carry. It's just tougher in California to
Okay.
have guns. Yeah.
Yeah. I wondered. I didn't know. I don't know how the laws work over there exactly. I know that's something for me. I got to have guns with me everywhere I go. I got a gun on my hip right now as we're talking. I know.
Really?
Oh yeah, always.
For what? What do you think you need this gun for?
Because you never know when something could happen.
From another person with a gun?
Yeah, or anything. I mean, maybe he has a knife. I don't know. Maybe maybe there's 6 of them and they want to take something I have or hurt my family.
Huh. And is it that dangerous in Ohio?
It's never that dangerous anywhere that stuff happens. Every time you see it, they're always saying, "In a neighborhood like mine, can you believe it?"
Hmm.
I mean, that's the way I see it. And I mean, owning a bar, I leave out of here with some cash sometimes. You know what I mean? I do, owning a bar, I do leave with some cash on occasion. And yeah, I mean, I work construction in Cleveland in some pretty rough areas on occasion. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. A gun it's not there for offense. It's there for defense. And to me, at any given time, I don't want to be stuck in a situation where where something could happen that could that somebody has an upper hand because he has a gun, you know what I mean? Or it just doesn't seem. I'm gonna always try and level the playing field. Now granted, I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you I don't want to shoot somebody. It's not. I don't want to do that even a little bit. You'll never see me on the news shooting somebody in the back when they're running away. Once they ran away, that I'll be happy with that. I'm not that person. I'm not. But I definitely want to be able to feel safe. I want my family to feel safe. I want everybody to feel safe. Yeah, absolutely. The guns aren't there for a planned situation. They're there for the unplanned. That's, to me, is my biggest thing with a gun. They're there for unplanned situations. In Ohio, everybody's allowed to walk with a gun everywhere. They don't even have to have a concealed carry permit or anything. You just get a gun and walk around with it in your pocket. So you never know who has it, So,
Yeah, I guess I would feel more worried because I've just had a bunch of. I've had in my life when I was a kid, I had a bunch of brush-ins with the law over graffiti-related stuff, and I feel paranoid. If I had a gun on me, I think I'd be more worried about the police fucking with me than another human.
Well, I'm a law-abiding citizen, so I wouldn't break a law with a gun.
Right.
I mean, I only do what's legal. So, I mean, I'm not going to go break a law and have a gun on me. I mean, that's not like you're not going to catch me drinking and driving with a gun on my hip. That's not going to happen. Well, you're not going to catch me drinking and driving anyways, but I mean, definitely not with a gun on my hip.
I'm just saying that it probably I just come from a paranoid space. You know what I mean? I think my whole life I've been a little paranoid about that. And I feel like if I have a gun on my hip, it's inviting problems. But I mean, I've been robbed at let's see, I used to work at a movie theater a long time ago here when I first moved here. I got a gun stuck to my head at the movie theater, and obviously I wouldn't be able to have a gun on my hip at a movie theater. But I'm just saying, I have been robbed with a gun, and I didn't even know it was a gun, actually, because he was so close to me. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just, I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like trying to clean something, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I'm, Anyway, and so I know it's possible, I guess, to be in situations that you don't want to be in, where there's somebody with a gun.
Well,
Uh,
typically, if somebody in a bad neighborhood, that's what everybody's argument is always like, is your neighborhood that bad? I grew up in a bad neighborhood. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in project housing.
mhm.
And I promise you, we weren't robbing each other. I mean, there was nothing to steal in our neighborhood. You had to go somewhere else to steal and rob people. You know what
Right.
I mean? It just
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't. So, I mean, being in a better neighborhood doesn't help you a whole lot unless it's gated or, and you got security guard, which that's a whole nother level that I'm not on. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely pro gun. I think, I think everybody should have them. And what, it levels the playing field.
Well, the only thing about that is not everybody has the mindset of what you just said. Oh, yeah, if he runs away, I'm not going to shoot him in the back. There's plenty of people that I think in the world that have a different mentality of what having a gun is and what they want to do with it. So if everybody had one, I wouldn't like that. If everybody had one, I would have to have one. Do you know what I mean?
But you have to assume everybody does already. At least the criminals do. So there's where I sit with you. I'm agreeing with you. I just assume they have them just in case. I just assume they're there.
Yeah.
And out in a bar, I've seen it enough. I seen we had a fight break out in the field behind the bar the one time, and as this fight breaks out, a guy pulls a gun out of his pocket. He'd been sitting there drinking all night, looked like a young kid, nice enough kid, and he's got sweatpants on and he's got a pistol in his pocket. Pulls it out. I'm like, what the hell? This isn't pistol worthy. Get out of here. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, you never know who has it. You just don't know.
Well, you're right. You don't know. You're right.
And that's why I have to have it. And my wife has a carry. I mean, that's just kind of how I bought my daughter for her 21st birthday. I bought her a gun.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's how I am. I'm that guy, 100%. I feel safety is an issue, and before she was 21, she had a taser. So
I have a taser. It's for our movie, but I got one of those.
yeah, they're fun. We got them here at the bar. We got everybody. There was a bunch of guys drunk tasing each other one night. It was pretty funny. They're
Oh,
tasing each other in the nuts and the side, all kinds of stuff. Seeing who can handle it.
That's funny.
Yeah, there are a bunch of characters down here in this bar for sure. So, what's this project you want to do with the cell phone? Do you know already?
Yeah, I do. We're casting for it now. This movie is called Fear Anonymous, which kind of fits under the same, genres of stuff I've been doing. But it's a pretty simple concept. The concept is there's a group, kind of like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, but they discuss their traumas and their fears, what they're afraid of. And a stranger comes in the group, and it kind of goes into like an anthology where everybody tells their own story, and then the stranger at the end kind of tells his story, and then the stranger kind of like walks through and does a little bit better than the moderator to help people solve their issues, and then it and then it kind of comes back to the stranger and his story of his quote unquote roommate, which is a hypothetical character, is really about himself, and he is a murderer, and he kills everybody in the room at the end of this film. So there's the reveal. Um, and
You
yeah,
sure you don't like slasher movies?
right. Well, I like I said, I'm into the story. Do you know what I mean? If I can make the good story something that is more original, you try to be as original as possible, and is captivating, is watching every scene is important, character development, caring about this character. I don't like this character, I do like this character, I want this one to live, I want this one to die. All those things are way more important to me than saying it's a slasher or a horror or a ghost movie. Do you know what I
Is
mean?
it harder? Is it harder to make a movie in California than it is to like in Michigan? As far as like they have the Screen Actors Guild, so there's kind of like the unions there to kind of mess with you a little bit when you're making a movie. And
I've done union films and I've done non-union films, and for me, it's easier to do a non-union film because the SAG union's very backed up, and they don't like handle your movie accordingly like they should, like meaning they don't approve actors on time. Communication's difficult, so I try to not make union movies, or hire somebody that just deals with that. You know what I mean? Hire a producer that just deals with the union because I don't want to deal with them.
so if you make a non-union movie in California, they're not harassing you and bothering you about it?
No, absolutely not.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely not. You just a lot of times you can't get bigger actors. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to get a smaller known actor because most big actors are in the union, and they just have to join the union. Like I've been eligible to join the union for years, but I've never wanted to join the union because it doesn't benefit me. They don't benefit me. They don't get me jobs. You know what I mean? They don't get me work at all. So I kind of stay clear of that unless one day I get an offer that I have to join the union to take the offer, then I would consider it. It's also quite expensive to pay union dues. So yeah, so I try not to do union. But to answer your question, it's just as easy to shoot here as in Michigan or Ohio or anywhere where you want to go. A lot of times people go off tax incentives, whatever the state has to give you for tax incentives. But wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, just go to the place that you have the most resources. You know what I mean? I just had
Sure.
a lot of resources in Flint, Michigan, so we did it in Flint, Michigan. And the architecture looks good there, and it's just a different vibe. I don't think this movie would be the same if we had the setting in California, you know?
Right. Yeah. I guess assumed, because I'm from the Cleveland area. And I'm a union carpenter is what I was my whole life. So, I mean, I just think of what goes on with union work and non-union work as a carpenter in construction. And I just thought that, maybe that I guess I assumed that they were out there fighting you guys when you tried to make a movie non-union. It would make sense, in my opinion.
Uh, Man. So first of all, the union people are concerned about money, right? So if I had like $10 million and I wanted to make a non-union film, maybe somebody would care. But the only reason they could care is if I had union actors on the project. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they could still care. Like we have non-union carpenters working on projects. They'll still put a big blow up rat and pick at our job. You know what I mean?
Why?
That's because they don't want you doing work in their city without it being union. But Cleveland's a
Why?
strong
Why?
union
Why?
town.
Why though? Why would you have to join a union to do work? That's
Well, they're
ridiculous.
protecting their work is what it is. That's the unions are there supposedly protecting your work. That's what they're supposed to be there for.
But
That's
why
the
would you
reason for 'em.
why would you have to join a club to work? Why?
I I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's a wonderful way to do it, honestly. If I'm being honest, I mean, the thing that's nice about being as a carpenter, I'm not talking about, I don't know nothing about acting, but the nice thing about being a carpenter is I can work for a guy for 10 years and leave and nothing changes. I go to work for the next company and he's a union shop and my benefits are still there. My pension is still there. I mean, it just moves with me. And that's a plus. I mean, especially because contractors go out of business and things like that, things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's always been the benefit. You make the most money and get the most benefits that way. So yeah, I would work that way. I have both a non-union company and I've worked in the union. I've done both. I'm not saying I haven't done both. In fact, they've had to rat at my job sites when I had my company at one time. So, but yeah, I mean,
What do
the
they
whole
do? They
point is
pick it?
to work.
Do
What's
they
that?
do they pick it?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, okay. So union people come out and they say there are non-union people working here and we want the work.
Correct. They want it to be, yeah. This is a non-union company that pays unfair wages and labor practices and this and that. But the problem is that nowadays, is that like, especially with the carpenters and, acting, I have no clue. Again, I don't know anything about it, but with the carpenters, they have such a legacy cost at this point where, and the numbers aren't there. The numbers never increased in the carpenters union. So you had a lot more union carpenters in the 60s than you do today. So the legacy cost is so outrageous that a non-union company can come out and actually pay you more money, give you more benefits because they're not paying all these old pensions and things like that that are, set back and, have all those huge legacy costs. So there are companies out there now that'll actually pay you better and you can have a better career with them. The problem is you can't take it with you. You're with that company and whatever is going on there, your time served and stuff doesn't count where it does in the union,
Yeah, I guess I've just never really been involved in a union because for sure the SAG, which they're not even a union. In fact, the name stands for Screen Actors Guild because I don't think legally they can call themselves a union because they're not fighting for anybody's jobs. Do you know what I mean? They're not trying
Oh,
to
see, that's where I'm screwed up. I thought they were. I assumed they were. That's when I hear union, that's what their job's supposed to be.
Nope, they don't fight for anybody to get work. What they're fighting for is if the actors are in the guild, then they want to get a piece of the money that actor is getting paid in dues. If it's a union set and rules are not being followed, which there's a ton of rules on union sets, meaning break times have to be here for lunches have to be made or whatever, bathrooms have to be available, there's all these little rules. If they go to a union set and those rules aren't being followed, then they can cause you problems. But there's no way the SAG union can come to my movie set that's a non-union project and tell me anything.
But they could picket you. They could picket you, and through the power of social media, they could say, "Hey, don't go watch this guy's movie. Don't give him any money. He's working people non-union using unfair labor practices." That's what they could do. And if they were a good union, that's what they would be doing.
I've never seen the SAG union picket I don't I don't have enough money for them to care. If I was like I said, if I was making at least like $10 million movies, maybe they'd care, but who would picket? Other actors? That's a fast way to get blackballed in the casting world. You know what I mean? If you're like out there picketing movies, I've never seen that happen. I've never.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know how it works. That's why I wondered. Like when you recorded in Flint, I thought maybe he did that to avoid dealing with SAG or whatever. I thought maybe that was the case. Obviously, it doesn't sound like that's the case at all. I just didn't realize that. I just assumed for some reason that was how it would work.
No, most people don't care. Michigan doesn't give a shit. I tried to reach out to their film offices and their tax incentives and stuff like that, and nobody ever got back to me. I think I got one response that said, "Hey, we got your message and we're looking into it," and just nothing. So Michigan actually isn't people's favorite place to go film at this moment. If they bring back the tax incentives, maybe one day it will, because I think at one time it did have some. But right now, what's really big? Like Atlanta was big for a while. I think New Mexico is really big right now, giving tax incentives. Like that's where usually filmmakers go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where they get the tax incentives. I think I heard that they were going to start doing that in Ohio, but I don't know if they actually ever did. But I do remember seeing an article that said that they were going to do, because Ohio has there's some pretty good roots for actors and musicians in Ohio. They had in Cleveland, there's a big acting school that's there. If I remember, was it Tom Hanks went there? I think.
Oh, really?
I think he lived in Lakewood and went there. And then Cincinnati their arts district in Cincinnati is, uh, it's pretty impressive, actually. Like, they've got a high-end music school there that people come to just for, you know, their music school that they have. They travel the world, you know what I mean? Or so they have some, and then like artsy wise, like we have Oberlin College, which I know have you ever heard of Oberlin College?
I haven't.
It's about 20 minutes from my house, about 15 minutes, 20 minutes from my house. But it's the first college to ever allow women to go to college. They're the first ones that accept women, and they're a very liberal arts college for sure. I mean, and it's like Chelsea Clinton's boyfriend was there, Danny DeVito's kids were there, like, so I mean, there's some good roots in this area. And I'd like to see them do more of it around here. I mean, we did do a couple. I know Cleveland did that. What was the one that they were doing down there? Was it Marvel? I think it was Marvel was doing a movie in Cleveland. They
Oh,
took all the road signs and stuff down. Yeah, it was Marvel. Yeah, that did it. So
well,
there's been some good
big.
ones.
That's a
Yeah,
big movie. That brings a lot of money to the area. You know what I mean? A
sure.
Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They came in and like redid the signs on the buildings, on the roads. Like they had to put them back. But I mean, yeah, they were basically turning in downtown Cleveland into Metropolis. You know what I mean? So it was pretty neat. It was, we all loved watching it go on.
Which is surprising that they did that practical, because nowadays, like we were talking about AI, you could just do that, or CGI actually. You could just do that with CGI, change a street sign and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
It's a lot easier. Yeah, it's a lot
You
easier
got that
now.
kind of skill now? You got that skill?
I've changed signs, not moving, but I mean, I do Photoshop and Illustrator, and I worked on a project where I just changed signs around. Yeah, it's easy.
I need to learn how to edit more with my podcast. I'd like to do a lot more editing with it. There's a guy named Ed Temeko that's reached out to that wants me to send him the videos and then he'll edit them and put them out there. And we haven't heard about price yet, but that's a recent conversation we've had. But I would like to get somebody to edit the podcast for me when they go out, because I usually record it however I record it, and it just goes out. I mean, that's just how I do it. I don't cut it or edit it, or it'd be nice to get it. It'd be nice to do, like, especially with this, like while we're doing right now, it'd be nice if it was edited to the fact where, like, when I'm talking, it's only me, and when you're talking, it's only you, or you know what I mean? I think it would be nice to have. I can do a little bit of that with OBS when you're in studio, but Riverside, I don't have as much freedom with that. So,
And where do you get most of your audience, do you notice? Like, which platforms?
most of my audience comes through Facebook right now. I get a lot of views on, like, say, TikTok and YouTube Shorts and things like that, but most of what I get is on Facebook, because, like, my bar has like 9,000 followers at my bar that follow my bar. And the Bar Talk page only has like maybe 600 or 700 or something on Facebook. And YouTube, I don't have a whole lot of followers yet. But we get, typically when we go out on the Facebook, we typically get about 1,100 to 1,200 views on a podcast, which is pretty good for that. And then the audio versions, they don't do what they used to since I started doing video. They might get 30 or 40 out of the audio versions, but that's because everybody goes and watches the video format of it. So,
Yeah.
but I wanted to go bigger. I wanted to do better. There's some talk with, I'm actually supposed to meet with somebody this coming up week. There's an internet television company that's in Cleveland called 13 News. And it's an internet but they're actually getting better numbers than like the actual TV stations are.
Really?
Now. Yeah, because that's how people are watching things now. I mean, it's just how it
Absolutely.
is. So they're looking for a studio and they want to do some stuff. And they a lot of what they have is podcasters that do their stuff. They have sports podcasters that do their sports show, or they have, women that do like little women podcasts that do their like, cultural stuff or whatever. So it's kind of a neat thing. I want to see what they have to talk about this week coming up, and see how that goes. But this is my favorite. I like just sitting and talking with somebody, getting to know them. I think it's neat. I mean, it's impressive that you've, done everything you've done.
Thank
People, it's one thing that, people look at, go, oh, well, he's not, whatever, say, I don't know, Cameron or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not like he's this, but when you're out there making a living, doing something that you like, and you're not a slave to clocking in every day, I mean, that's that's enjoyable. That's like my buddy Sean that's out there, Sean Nat. He makes his job, like he's done a lot of commercials and stuff like that. He does, comedy shows, and he does commercials. He did a couple airline commercials and some TurboTax commercials and Allstate commercials. And I mean, he's paying his bills, and he's, you know what I mean? It's gets to travel, do his comedy thing, and he's loving what he does.
Well, yeah, I'm extremely lucky, and I thank you for that compliment. I'm extremely lucky. I have many jobs. You know what I mean? It's not just me making the independent movies and making so much money. But you're right. You're not a slave to certain things when you're making independent versus, large commercial movies. And I'm not James Cameron, but you know, I feel like I'm exactly where supposed to be. You know what I mean? Where I should be. And obviously you always want more, I'm lucky, but I also work a lot. I work pretty hard on trying to get these movies out and get them to be good, you know. And that's what my concern is. That's what my main focus is as an artist. I'm trying to make this product that's good. I'm not looking at like the payday for this. You know what I mean? Payday will come. Payday will come.
What's the biggest thing that is out in one of your movies that after the fact you're like, I should have cut that, or I should have done it this way? What's the biggest one that gets you?
Oh, the
I
biggest.
know it's got to be out there.
You're watching Half Dead Fred right now. I don't know if this is the biggest one. It's just something that comes to mind, right? You're watching Half Dead Fred, and there's two lines in this movie, and the line is, she's been in and out of rehab most of her life, and then it says something else. Two people say that line. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so a sister says that line about her sister, and then when they interview the sister, she says that about herself. I just wish I didn't have that, because when you're writing, you want to write things from that character's mindset, and when you write the same lines like that, it seems like it's the same person. Does that make sense?
So it's like redundant.
Yeah, well, it is redundant because it's the same line, but it's the same line from two different
Perspective.
well, perspectives too. Now, I let it pass, I let it go because they're sisters, so maybe they would both talk similar. But in retrospect, and you're probably not even going to think twice about this kind of thing. But me as an editor, I look at it all the time, I think about it all the time, and I wish that I just adjusted that line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, I get it. I know that it happened. That's why I asked the question. I know it's out there. I know there's things that, that they have to. You know what I mean? They have to be.
Well, too, there's a million things that I would like. We did a lot of fight scenes in the last movie, right? And I wish like maybe some angles were just a little bit over here, or maybe if the guy actually hit him, I'd like it better. You know what I mean? Like, it's just these like little things here and there. Again, you're not really going to notice that in the edit because the edit fixes those issues for the most part, sound and angles and quick cuts. But me as an editor and a writer for the film, I know what it should look like when I write it, and it's always just slightly different when you shoot it most of the time. Sometimes it's exact.
You do have a vision. You have a vision when you're writing it, like how you want this set to see.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I see it, then I write it down. And then I think about it, I rewrite it, but I always know what I want to see.
Okay. All right. I didn't see. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I've never considered writing a movie, so I have no thought process on it. I guess I mean maybe I should try. Maybe I should try writing a movie.
You should try writing it about a bar.
Yeah, right. Bar. There's enough. That's how I started a podcast. I go, there's enough content in this place every day to do a podcast. Just like the crazy stuff that can go on in a bar is absolutely nuts. I mean, it's you wouldn't even believe. It's like, and some of it, a lot of it is like Seinfeld episodes. It really is like
Yeah.
the same things just spinning back around and watching the whole thing unfold. You know, it's just you like. I'll give you an example real quick, and then I'll let you go. I know you said you got to get to the theater today,
I
but
do want to. Yep.
um, I, when I first bought the bar, a
Mhm.
friend of mine, he owns a car dealership down the road, and he has a house that he doesn't live in, but he keeps the house where he keeps some property or some vehicles there, and he keeps his goats there. He's from Egypt, so he keeps goats, and he's the one day he had me go stop over there to feed the goats, and he's like he was out on the water. He took his boat out. And he's like, "Can you feed the goats? You're coming right by there." So me and my wife, we stop. My wife, she loves it. She sees animals. She wants to feed the goats anyway. So we stopped to feed the goats, and this German Shepherd comes over and like from the neighbor, and it scared the shit out of me. I run back in the truck. I mean, this thing was tall as me. I mean, he's a mean looking thing, And I'm like, holy shit, But I did get the goats fed by then, and I leave. And fast forward maybe about a week before I bought the bar. And he calls me up and says he thinks that somebody shot his goat. And I go, what? He goes, his whole jaw's like just blown out. Like it just looks like somebody shot him. He goes, I don't know I don't know what it was, And I got the bar in like September, I think of 17. So I don't know like why it was like summertime and stuff and all this is going on. And he's just he's like almost crying. I mean, he's an older guy. He's like 60 years old. He's upset about his goat, And yeah, I didn't think much of it. I just thought that's odd, that's really odd. But his goat died. His goat was dead. He had 4 goats, but one was dead. And I didn't think much of it, And then we opened a bar. My wife's bartending, and a guy comes in and he says, "Oh yeah," he tells us he has the mechanic shop right next to where my buddy's goats are. And my wife goes, "You're the one with the shepherds over there?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Those damn things, they've bit so many people already." And then he goes, "Actually, it killed my neighbor's goat, but man, he'll freak out if he knows that's what did it."
Oh,
You know what I mean? So it's like that whole Seinfeld thing where it's all coming back around, And it's just like, I mean, it just shit like that goes on all the time, and you don't know what to do with that information. I mean, I don't want to go tell my buddy. I mean, he's over it by that point. This is 6 months later, by the time we heard it. And, it just don't want to start a big war with him and his neighbor and everything else. But at the same time, you know what you know.
Well, they might know now if they watch your podcast.
Oh, I think it all came out in the wash already. Yeah, I think that all came out. Yeah, that's all come out now at this point. But I mean, it's just, yeah, it's just the kind of little stupid things like that. It's like Seinfeld-ish,
Right.
that I watch go on in the bar. It's pretty wild.
Or like Cheers. Remember Cheers?
Yeah, Cheers we're not the Cheers type of bar. Not
No.
really. No,
You don't have
not.
a norm? You don't have a guy sitting there every day?
We did. His name was Hal. He passed away right before we reopened up from COVID. He was here every day, open to close. Great guy. I mean, everybody here loved him. In fact, we were 10 times busier just because people came to see Hal. I mean, he would go take everybody and smoke weed with them in his truck or whatever, and you know what I mean. And everybody just like, he was an old retired guy, but that dude could drink like you wouldn't believe. There was a short time we had breakfast. I would do breakfast, and he would literally be here with the bar girl till she closed, leave at 3:30, and literally go for a walk. And when the cooks came in at 4:30, he'd go sit back at the bar and start drinking again, never stop.
Wow, that's a lot of drinking.
And he did that for days on end. But it was literally the Sunday, Mother's Day, which would have been 2 days before we were allowed to reopen from the COVID. We actually were allowed to open earlier because we had an outdoor patio. So the inside wasn't allowed, but the outside was. And 2 days before we could open, he actually had a heart attack while driving, and that was that. That was Hal. That was my son's best friend too. And that guy he sat in during the shutdown. He came and sat in the bar while we were working and played darts with my son and stuff the whole shutdown. So yeah, it was pretty upsetting in our house. But yeah, we have some that are here, but they're not like Hal. Hal was here all day, every day. So,
Yeah. Is it a big sports bar? Do you like watch the games there and stuff?
Yeah, we watch games and stuff. I mean, it's a sports bar, I guess, to some degree. I mean, it's a local bar. It's a local bar with good food, basically. Before I owned it, it was called the Gin Mill, and it was popular around here for Friday fish fries. That was their thing. Everybody would come here for fish fries. You'd have lines out the door for Friday fish fries. You know, so that was kind of its roots, was more restaurant. They had a very small bar hidden that they didn't really have a lot of people at. But I opened it all up, made it a bigger bar, and I focus more on the bar than the food myself. So, but we still have a great kitchen and good food, and it does pretty good. It's pretty neat.
Well, I'll have
But-
to make it out there when I visit Indianapolis. Hopefully.
Yeah, if you do that, if you come in through Cleveland, we're right off the highway. It's real easy to get to when you're coming, and you'd have to pass us anyways, heading there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be cool. That'd be neat to set it up. I would like to set it up and have somebody play the drinking game. We'll set it. That would be cool. That'd be really neat to do the drinking game with it. I would definitely like it.
I don't
And-
think anybody will watch the movie, but they might even just watch the movie just to play the drinking game. Do you know what I mean? They're like,
Yeah,
I don't care about the movie. I just want to get the drinking cues so I can drink.
Well, I've had a lot of people, because we did a pig roast a few years ago. Well, we do them most of the time, but the one year we did one, and I set up the screen and I watched movies all night while I did the pig roast, and everybody keeps bugging me. They want to do a movie night, like whether it's Rocky Horror Picture Show or something. So this would be right in line. I think it would fit well. By the way, is there anywhere we can go to stream right now? Go to stream the Pancake Man? Is that
No, it's not released yet. You can only see
Okay.
the trailer right now.
Okay.
And once we figure out, I'm hoping, like I was mentioning, I'm hoping that AMC picks it up for an actual theater run. That's kind of what we're gearing towards. But right now we got it on festival schedule. So, right now it's just theater, but eventually it will be, everywhere, just kind of like Half Dead Fred. It'll be on a bunch of different platforms.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'll let you get to what you're doing. Keep in touch. If you ever need anything from us or ever want to go on a podcast and talk about something else, just let me know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it today.
I
actually.
appreciate you having me on. And thanks for reaching out. I appreciate it. And I will definitely try to stop by the bar in the future.
And if I ever make it out to California, I'm gonna get a hold of you. You can show me what the town's like.
Yep, I'm in Long Beach. So yeah, this is the cheapest beach town you can get to. So if you come out, hit me up.
All right, sounds good.
All
All
right.
right, thanks a lot.
Talking to
Peace.
you. See ya.